next item is approval of the minutes from September 26th and September 29th meeting. There was one typo on motion to approve the commission office bids. Any other changes need to be made?
So moved.
Have a motion to approve both of them?
Both of them.
Okay, have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Next item is approval of the agenda. We have 4 items on the agenda. Do we have any discussion before we proceed, or any changes to the agenda? Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. We'll move on to our public comments. We've had 3 individuals sign up to speak this evening. First is Ms. Donna Frederick.
You stand up here. I'm here today on behalf of the United Givers Fund, and I came to tell the commission thank you for helping sponsor our new brochure. I did put one in each one of your little mailboxes the other day, so I hope you've had a chance to look at it. But thank you for partnering with the city of Scottsboro to have these printed. In the past, they've just been like one color, so this year with your help and the help of the city of Scottsboro, we got to use color. And also, we were able to highlight some of the individuals that have received money from some of the organizations that we sponsor. So we just wanted to say thank you for helping us with this. We think this is going to help us this year with our campaign. We've already started, and we've got donations have started to trickle in, but we're still in the process of getting the brochures out and going to the industries that help us, that will help us get the money on up. But we appreciate you helping with this. And do you have any questions about the United Givers Fund?
You have any questions?
You know all about it, so. But we do appreciate you helping us because all this money stays in Jackson County. We have a very small administrative fee, and that's to Ellie Smith that works here in lives here in Jackson County. And all of the organizations are in Jackson County, so all the money stays local. So we appreciate the commission, and if you want to give on an individual basis, we would appreciate that too, because no donation is too small. It all adds up. And last year we actually had to go into proration the last quarter because we didn't make our goal. But this year we see some other avenues that we may be able to get some more money. But we appreciate your help very much. And today I just want to say we got news today that Laurel is going to help us. They're going to have a softball tournament, and all the money goes to the United Givers Fund. So if any of you play softball, join up. I don't play softball, but if you do, get the word out or play on a team. We just appreciate your help. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ronald Dykes.
My name is Ronald H. Dykes. I'm a retired physician who's practiced for years in Scottsboro and have lived here since 1979. Over the past 10 or 15 years, I have served on the hospital board, the library board, and planning commission. As such, I understand the importance of your role as commissioners, and I congratulate you for desiring to serve the citizens of the county. I'm here today to comment on what may be the most important issue this commission has faced in years, which is the placement of the Ten Commandments monument at the courthouse. Now, I use monument, but it applies to other kinds of displays. I strongly believe such an action would be a mistake for multiple reasons that I will briefly discuss. One, the major difficulty with the monument is the separation of church and state issue. I am not a lawyer and will leave that argument to the attorneys, since the matter will probably wind up in court. However, I would like to point out that the separation of church and state was described in 1802 by Thomas Jefferson as follows. The legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state, end quote. In 1791, Amendment 1 of the Bill of Rights stated, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, end quote. I assume that was referred to endorsement of religion as well. This position has served our country well for over 200 years. To illustrate how well, just compare the situation in our country with that of the Middle East countries where the state and religion are one. Now, this issue will be the constitutional issue. I'm sure will be discussed when cases go to court. My other points have to do with local issues. Jackson County has made the national news a number of times over the past 85 years or so. Fortunately, some of it is positive, mostly because of a certain business establishment on West Willow Street. Unfortunately, several of these news reports have been quite negative, and I'm sure you're aware of all of them. I don't need to mention those. Based on the history of similar cases involving separation of church and state, placement of the monument will generate considerable controversy and national publicity, much of it not favorable. It has already been called to my attention that one national publication has mentioned Jackson County twice already for this. 3, I can give a good example of the negative impact such publicity can engender. A number of years ago, the medical community had almost recruited a highly qualified and much needed surgeon from Kentucky. Just before he was to bring his wife down to see the area, she read in the national news about one of the negative reports I referred to above. She informed her husband that she refused to live in such a place, and that ended that. My point is that individuals and potential employers are reluctant to move to towns embroiled in controversy. I ask, would you choose to move to Ferguson, Missouri after the events of the past few weeks? The county commission is elected to handle the business of the county. Confronting all of these issues facing the county is daunting and time-consuming. Putting up the monument seems like it would be a simple matter with a quick resolution. This will not be the case. This issue, including future inevitable lawsuits, will take up most of your time. Are you willing to subject yourselves and future commissions to years of controversy just to establish this monument, which may be ruled unconstitutional anyway, as they frequently are? If the monument is erected, what happens next? Based on similar situations, the floodgates most likely will open. The internet contains large numbers of lawsuits over 10 Commandment monuments placed in courthouses. In addition, other religious groups have requested that monuments to their beliefs, or lack of it, be erected, and these requests must be honored. The atheists have already threatened such a lawsuit in Jackson County, according to AL.com, and others will almost certainly follow. In fact, atheists have already erected such monuments in Oklahoma and Florida. There are also Satanists, Satanist monuments in 2 different cities. They have the monument by the Ten Commandments monument with Satan with big ears sticking out. Furthermore, Muslims have announced plans to fund a number of inscribed monuments inscribed with the Koran in courthouses and intend to lobby for their use in judicial proceedings. Unfortunately, I can't remember where I found it, so I can't document it, but I remember reading that one town, I think in Oklahoma, had a number of monuments on the courthouse for different religions. From an article in the Daily Sentinel, I understand the Liberty Institute will be your, quote, sugar daddy, end quote. According to its website, this organization's mission is the establishment of Christian displays, speech, and prayer in public areas. I suspect the Liberty Institute has more concern for pushing its agenda than for the citizens of Jackson County. When the inevitable lawsuits and national publicity come along, who will be the ones taking the heat? You or Liberty Institute? The Ten Commandments on the monument on public property implies endorsement of a particular religion. Our country and our county do have a dominant religion. But should members of other religions feel disenfranchised and be concerned that they may not receive equal consideration when they enter the courthouse? I have good friends who are Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and non-believers. They are all fine people who pay their share of taxes to help build and maintain public facilities like this courthouse. Won't a monument endorsing a particular religion imply that their firmly held beliefs have little or no consequence? This is not a partisan issue. It's not a matter of being for or against Christianity, for I am not. The real issue is what is in the best interest of all of the citizens of our county. Putting the Ten Commandments at the courthouse is not. Even if it is a part of a display of, quote, historical documents, one particular religion is still being endorsed. In summary, I feel that the decision as to whether to erect this monument boils down to 2 main issues. First, are the county fathers willing to erect a highly controversial and possibly unconstitutional monument which will embroil the county in controversy for years and take precious time away from the important duties for which you were elected? Second, are you willing to ignore and even discard a basic dictum of Jeffersonian democracy and Amendment 1 of the Bill of Rights, namely the separation of church and state? Thank you for the opportunity to address you on this important issue, and I have a copy of my statement for members of the
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Michael Cousins?
My name is Michael Cousins. I'm a resident of Jackson County. We moved here after Katrina. Maybe that's not a good thing, but part of the crime wave that left New Orleans. And I have a boat at ADOC at the Jackson County Marine. Sunday I picked up the Sentinel and I read that y'all are proposing to increase the rates at the marina. So I've had very little time to do a lot of investigating. In the article, Matthew was quoted as wanting to increase the rates. The increased rates would make the rates competitive with those found elsewhere. So I started looking elsewhere. I talked to the folks at Goose Pond, All Red Marina, and Gunnersville Marina, and here's some of the things I came up with. Just remember, these were done on short notice, and if I had more time, I would probably have more accurate records. But what I found from Goose Pond, first of all, they have 44-foot covered slips, and they have 55-foot covered slips, and the ones we have over here are 50. So I just figured the rate that we pay per foot per month. And at Goose Pond, with all the options open to the renters, they pay $5.41 per covered foot per month. And with the increase that y'all are proposing, that y'all are going to vote on tonight, it will bring our rate up to $5.50 per foot per month. Now, the options I'm talking about that they have at Goose Pond is they get 1 month's free rent if they pay a year in advance, which I've suggested to Matthew, and he said he would consider it. If we do that, then our rates would go down to $5.04 per foot per month. And I brought this up to Carl and talked about how it would affect the marina. And since we only have a couple of folks, myself and one other boat owner, that is willing to do this, so, but it has the potential to have more of a financial effect. That is with all the options that we have. All the other marinas offer this. And if you guys want to stay competitive, then we need to talk about all the things that are available at the other marinas that we don't have at Jackson County Marina. And some of our boat owners have trouble comparing Goose Pond Marina with what we have, what we call a marina. It's basically a place to park your boat. Some of the differences between Goose Pond and our marina at Jackson County is they have floating docks, which I'm sure y'all are all aware of, which make a great deal of difference, especially if we're not here in the city all the time when we have changes in water levels. This year we've had the water level go over our walkway, and we had it last year. And from what I understand of the history, I've only been here 9 years, but we've had times where they've been 2 foot above the walkway. And that puts our boat tops up into the roof. But Carl does have his crew check our mooring lines when the water level changes. And they do the best that they can at the times that they are working. Some of the other things that Goose Pond has that's considered part of the marina is they have a courtesy car. If you have a boat over there and you need to go into town and get something, you can use their courtesy car. They actually put a little gas in it. They have a restaurant, they have a swimming pool, they have a golf course, they have new bathhouses, which are really nice facilities. They have a boat lift, they have mechanics, and a mechanic shop over there, which we do not have in Jackson County. If we have a problem with one of our boats, we've got to call Boat US. We have to get our boats over to Goose Pond to lift them up to take care of the problem. We have a boat that starts taking on water. By the time we get it to Goose Pond, it's sunk. The fuel prices at County Park, they're $4.29.9 a gallon. At Goose Pond, they're $4.01 a gallon. So they're 29 cents a gallon higher. Some of the things that need to be addressed is our spider infestation problem. I'm not sure what we can do to manage that, but I did talk to Cook's Pest Control today and asked them, but it's not my place to get involved in the management of the marina, but there are issues when you start trying to control the spider population over water. All the regulations change, and I know that. But the people at Cook's told me today that if they had an opportunity to handle the problem at our marina, and we weren't happy with their services, they wouldn't charge us a penny. I can't guarantee that. That's just what they told me on the phone today. I think it's only fair to ask for 1 month's free rent if we pay a year in advance. I don't know how overall that will affect the finances. We need new bathhouses. We talked about, Carla and I talked about the washer and dryer situations, and I know they've got a facility at Goose Pond that's readily accessible by the boat owners. And I'm not sure where are the washers and dryers. I think they're over in the campground area, but I'm not sure about that. There's another big issue that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed soon. When there was a park board, which no longer exist, we've always had electrical problems at the marina with varying voltages, which has caused a lot of problems. We couldn't prove it, but I've had to replace my refrigerator. They've been microwaves and air conditioner compressors go out, and we can't prove that the variation in the voltage caused that. But it doesn't help the situation. So Jimmy Salmon was asked to give a presentation to the board, and I was there, and my wife and I were there that night. And he recommended that they go to a 3-phase system instead of a single-phase system. And he told them it was going to cost about $110,000 at his cost, and they turned it down. I talked to Jimmy about this, and I asked him if I could quote him today. And he said there is a letter at the power board. Let's see, let me get this correct. There's a letter at the power board stating that the power provided to our boats is not within code. Now, I don't know what kind of financial or legal effect that would have if somebody got hurt at the dock, and I'm sure there possibly could be some lawsuits. The only thing I wish is, and I tried to get some of the other boat owners over here, but we had such short notice on this, and I'm sure that y'all put out notifications of things coming up like this, but the only place I found out about it was in the newspaper. But we just want fair treatment. We'd like the facilities to be up to date and usable. If we're gonna start comparing other marinas to this marina, there's no consideration. There's no comparable considerations what we have. Just give us a chance to operate our boats out there. I'm not against the $20 a month increase, but if y'all do that, you need to consider it. And you need to spend some money on the electrical power going to our boats. Thank you.
Thank you.
And no old business, so we're going on to new business, and the first item is the motion regarding increasing the marina rates at Jackson County Park. With that presentation, before it proceeds, are there any other questions or comments regarding this item? I will say that I've met with Mr. Barnes. I think several of the issues I hope will be addressed in this upcoming master plan that's being worked on for the park. There are several things that have been discussed in the past regarding the spider issue. That's something we've been working with our pest control folks. I think we've got a meeting being set up on that to see what we can do to address that particular issue. Mr. Barnes, do you have anything?
We do offer a discount if you pay by the year. You get $10 off a month, which is $120. So really, you're getting something. You're not getting a full month, but you are getting something. And also, I know at Goose Pond you're looking at another boat every time you look out. Okay, on ADOT you've got $1 million view down the lake there. And you've also got about an 8 by 16 patio out there, which is also usable. So, there's a lot more things that we've got,
And our docks include cable, the way I understand it.
Our docks include cable. You don't have, if you want cable at Goose Pond, you gotta pay $45.
And that cable is included whether someone uses it or not,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Can I respond to that?
If Mr. Level
Sure.
The cable's available for people who want to use it. If we don't want to use it, at least, it's included in our rent. I don't use the cable. The only people that I know use the cable are the people that live on their boats out there. So if I don't want the cable, I'll not be able to take that $45 off. It disconnects it.
The way that our cable is set up, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, we're done on some type of,
We've got a franchise fee, and every slip, every campsite, every office, everything out there, you get a franchise fee. I think it's right at $60 a month. And then every spot is $5, whether you've got cable there or whether you don't have cable. So you still got to pay $5.
One other quick comment, and I'll shut up. He's talking about the $1 million view. We got 16 boats out there that have that $1 million view. There are a lot more than 16 boats out there, so don't sell that to me.
any other
What
questions
is
or
the
comments?
discount with the year's payment?
Right now, it's $10 a month, which is $120 a year.
$120.
Now, you pay 6 months, you get $5. So, you're getting a small discount, but you're not getting the full month's free.
Okay.
And considering that, I'd suggest we go one of two ways. We can consider that before we move forward, or we can move forward and consider that afterwards. But that is something I think we need to look at and see if that's something, possibility. Like you said, we do $10 now. Essentially what we would be doing would be $20 a month if we change that. That's something they can either go in tandem with this, or we can do that separately. But I do think it's something we need to look at the possibility of increasing that benefit, especially if we go up with the rate.
And we have very few people that pays by you, okay? So I can count them on one hand, so. I don't know if that will encourage people to pay more by the year or not. The way the economy is, I kinda doubt it.
Other questions or comments?
The electrical issue, has that been looked at? Have we had somebody out there to look at this?
Well, I have a lot of complaints from 1 to 2 people down there, okay? This one person I have complaints with all the time, they don't tell nobody that they have an incinerator that burns their waste, okay? And every time you flush that, then your electric bill is gonna be high if you got it's gonna be high. And that's the one person I get a lot of complaints from, with their electric bill being high. But they fail to tell people that they have an incinerator that burns their waste. And we offer free pump out service.
And in regard to electrical, that's something I need to understand more about, but if there is an issue, we could probably look at that with this master plan we're looking at. If we're going to spend some funds out there, I think we need to do what we need to do to upgrade the current facilities if that's necessary.
And I'm not saying it don't probably need to be rewired, but $110,000, you shouldn't have to spend $110,000 to rewire that dock.
We can get Alabama Power to come put a recording device on that. I do it all the time.
Well, see,
And we can see if there's actually a voltage drop or a voltage spike. We can leave it on there for a month, and if there's something wrong, it'll show.
Well, Scottsboro Electric has nothing, no electric company has nothing to do by the time it leaves the shoreline. By the time it leaves that shoreline, nobody's over it except for TVA. So, you know, I don't know where they get this, you know, that they're getting all this droppage and all this kind of stuff out through there.
Again, it's something we need to look at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it needs to be.
Any other questions or comments? When we talked about this previously, we talked about this taking effect in January, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
So again, we have this before us tonight, we can move forward with increasing these rates as of January 1, and of course, we'll continue to look at all these other issues. If there are concerns on, you know, how we want to proceed with some of these other items before we raise the rates, we can very well hold this off until the next meeting after we've tried to look at some of these issues a little bit more.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table this, give us a little time to make sure we get all of our thoughts together. Going forward.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? And I've taken note of several of the items that you've mentioned this evening, so we'll take a look at that, work with Mr. Barnes, and see if we can have some discussion ready for the next work session next week on how we're going forward. If we do this, we do need to give ample time to notice, so we need to move forward with it relatively quickly if we want to do it by January of this year. We have a motion and a second to table this to the next commission meeting, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay. And we will have this on the agenda next work session to discuss a little bit further. Okay, next item, motion to authorize the chairman to go into contract with Kirkland Pest Control. We discussed this at the last work session as well. Again, this is just allowing us to continue with the services. The only caveat that I would ask, again, this is allowing me to enter into this contract, is looking at, as we mentioned, the spider issue. If there is a slight increase in cost, I would ask that we be allowed to continue with the contract with Kirkland, even with a slight increase. It will definitely remain under the bid price based on the current cost. But that is another issue. I think that's the only issue that I've heard of we're still having problems with. So hopefully when we get that contained, we'll have a good process in order. Again, Kirkland has been good to work with over the past year that we've been working with them. Any comments on that? A motion to make this authorization? Motion and a second. Okay, any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, what gets sprayed at County Park now? Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure what they.
Okay. You, Mr. Barnes,
Every building gets sprayed,
every month,
plus the boat docks.
every month?
Not every month on the boat docks, they don't do it in the wintertime, 4 months out of the winter.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Next item is motion to approve and pay the county's portion of the County Road 43A trip project. We had this presented to us last week at the work session. The total amount for that is $249,766. So I entertain a motion to approve that item. Motion, we have a second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Next item, motion to approve and pay County Road portion to place the guardrail on County Road 67. The cost of this project to the county is $16,519.31. Have a motion to approve this item? Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. That concludes items on our agenda tonight. We'll move on to our reports. Mr. Zany, Mr. Porter, Mr. White.
I got a couple of things. Bring y'all kind of up to date. I talked to the chairman about this. Our recycling grant that we got from ADM in the amount of about $63,000 to purchase 4 recycling trailers with. These trailers will be vinyl wrapped and have some good graphics on it of the county. We have put that bid out, and it is scheduled to be opened on November the 10th, which I believe is a Monday at 10 o'clock. And then we're going to look at, we had to leave it out a little longer than we normally do because of ADM requirements. We'll look at possibly awarding on November the 24th, which will be 2 weeks later for that. Also, the chairman had asked us, we're looking at the annex building, and we're looking at possibly, had asked the Public Works Department to bring that down. We're looking at possibly starting that next week if we can get everything else in line. So Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on some things, but how things line up. But we have got that in our short view to get started on that. And the other thing is our annual Veterans Day lunch that we normally have at Public Works. We've had to schedule, we usually schedule that on the Thursday prior to Veterans Day. This year we're going to have to do it on the Tuesday prior to Veterans Day, which will be November the 4th, because of some scheduling conflicts with the company that takes care of cooking. So that'll be November the 4th. All I have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
No.
Mr. Miller?
No, sir.
Mr. Gaskin?
Yeah, I got one thing. I just wanna make sure we make clear that now, or in no time have we ever discussed putting a Commandments monument up. It's been historical document month. We just wanna make sure we get that clear. Because we respond to it as a Ten Commandments monument. That's not what it's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Leonard? Do want to mention, I think we've talked about the tree for several weeks now, about the possibility of it coming down, and it will come down this weekend. I'm not sure as to the exact date and time, but the tree will come down this weekend. And we're doing what we can to preserve some of that wood and some different items from it for folks that have some concerns about that. And I think it was mentioned in the paper, maybe mentioned in the paper about, we did find 10 saplings from the tree. Thank you. Near the site, and those have been picked up by the Ag Department of Scottsboro High School, and they will be taking care of those and nurturing those for us, growing those so that we can hopefully plant one in the future back on the courthouse lawn. So that's a positive thing there. That concludes the items on our agenda for this evening. So with that, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion, we'll have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say